What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. It's been a good week in sports, man. I'm getting ready for this new Madden to come out. I know, Eric. I know you're ready for for that as well. But yeah, a whole lot going on in the sports world too. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? I'm so excited that you mentioned Madden because I know we got a top 10 list that we need to get into today.
Mhm.
But it's a busy week, man. We're less than a week away from probably the biggest fight of the year, probably the biggest fight of the last, I want to say, 4 or 5 years. We in the midst and right in the heart of baseball season, so we got a lot to get into.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've been talking so much basketball the last couple of weeks because it's been lit in the NBA. So we finally get a chance to start the show off with a little bit of NFL talk, which I'm excited about. There's a lot going on in the football world right now, but one of the biggest things for New York right now, the Jets. Obviously, you guys know Aaron Rodgers joined in this off season, but it's been announced that the Jets will be the team featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this season. I'm actually very excited about that, just based off of the relationship of Aaron Rodgers and Sauce Gardner. We've been seeing them hanging around each other, getting cool. So I'm excited just for that. But it's New York, so anytime New York is going to be featured on a show like Hard Knocks, it's definitely going to be lit. But Eric, what's your thoughts on the Jets being featured on Hard Knocks this season?
I like it for the Jets because this is an exciting time for the Jets. We talked about the Jets a lot last year too, so let's not get it confused. It's not just because Aaron Rodgers is there. This is a really good, really young defense. A lot of good personalities on that defense. Obviously, as you highlighted by Sauce Gardner, but then the guys they got on offense, they got the offensive rookie of the year. They got a very explosive running back as well. Now you add in Aaron Rodgers to all that. So there's a lot of excitement around this team. I think they're going to be very entertaining for Hard Knocks. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be definitely going to be a good season just because of the personalities within the Jets organization. They got some really good, like, Aaron Rodgers. When we talk about him, that's the creme de la creme as far as veterans go. But then you mix that with the energy of these young players. With Sauce Gardner on defense and Wilson. Um, there's a whole lot of energy, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Plus, you always find out stuff on on Hard Knocks, so I like getting a little inside information into the training camps and whatnot. I always find that to be to be dope. So I
And
am really looking forward to that.
I want to say this first of all. Shout out to the supporters because we see you guys already in the comment section.
Thanks.
Amani and Ron, we greatly appreciate you guys. We're gonna get some questions in a second. The Jets, I also think very classy move by them already stating that during the show they will not be showing those interviews when you get cut from the team, which were like a staple of previous Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I think that's very embarrassing time for a lot of players, especially young guys who are trying to make it in the league. So the fact that the Jets are saying we're not going to highlight that, we're not going to emphasize any of those cuts, you would only hear about them in the news. Kudos to the Jets.
Facts. I love it, man. I mean, listen, man, New York, we set the trends out here. So as what I said, I'm excited about that. Let's get into one more NFL topic, and then we're gonna start jumping to the questions. We definitely see you guys. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys, because all throughout the week, y'all be sending us stuff, different things to check out. Y'all be trying to highlight guests for us and all that. We truly appreciate y'all. We love the fact that we get to be interactive with everybody in the chat. So y'all keep them comments coming in, and we definitely gonna rock out and get to all of the questions while we on the air. And again, if during the week, you can always hit us up on Twitter or on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll definitely get to those questions as well. So let's jump into this 10 best quarterbacks thing in the NFL. Um, I don't think there's a question at one. Eric, I don't know if you feel differently on that,
No, I
but
don't.
okay. But as far as right now and for the foreseeable future, the number one guy in football, number one quarterback, excuse me, in football is Patrick Mahomes. Don't think there is anyone right now in the NFL who is going to be taking that crown from him anytime soon, especially based off of what we just witnessed this last playoffs. With him playing through the injury, coming back on the field, just like and going out there and getting a comeback win, and then going on to win the Super Bowl. He's definitely solidified his spot as number one. But Eric, is there any controversy over the number one spot?
None at all. And people tried to come at us during the football season when we both were saying that Patrick Mahomes is probably already on a Mount Rushmore of all-time quarterbacks, and they were trying to. This was before they won the Super Bowl. Remember,
Exactly.
we had this debate where we said we felt he was number 4 all-time already. The only guys you could put ahead of him are the obvious choices: Brady, Manning, Montana. After
Yeah.
that, there ain't nobody else whose resume is stronger, and that's including Aaron Rodgers. So with the 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, 2 MVPs, the fact that he's already had 2 5,000-yard passing seasons, he's not even close to 30 years old yet. Patrick Mahomes, without a doubt, is the number 1 guy in the NFL. That's not even up for debate.
All right, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad we got that all straightened out, because we did have to go back and forth a couple of times this past season, where people didn't want to give Patrick Mahomes his just due, and that was in between the MVP and him then going on to win the Super Bowl. Number 2, Joe Burrow. I don't have a problem with it. I think he's the quarterback in the league. I mean, I don't want to say he gives Patrick Mahomes the most competition, because obviously they play against the defense, but he gives him the biggest run for his money in regards to who is the best quarterback in football. So I don't have a problem with Joe Burrow being listed at number 2. I agree with that.
I agree with it as well. As I wrote out my list, he was the second guy I put. First of all, he's the only guy to beat Patrick Mahomes 3 times. Um, so that holds some weight, because this is a guy who's only been a quarterback for 3 years. He's matched up 4 times against Mahomes. He's gotten the better of him 3 of those times. So he's there. I think he's also, in terms of every other quarterback we're list, Aaron Rodgers has more accomplishments because of the MVPs and the Super Bowl. But Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old is not what he once was at 30 years old. Burrow is still ascending. Aaron Rodgers is on the decline of his career. It is what it is. However you want to evaluate it, that's the truth of the matter. Joe Burrow is the number 2 guy. He's already shown that at his 2 years as a starter. He's done nothing less than go to AFC Championship games. He's won big road games. He's won big home games. And they were really one defensive stop away from winning the Super Bowl last season or the previous season. So I think Joe Burrow is number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, you said it all, man. He is the guy. He's the one where I'm like, whenever they step on the field against the Kansas City Chiefs, they might win this one. You know what I'm
And
saying?
and let's be clear, because I gave Cincinnati a lot of flack for the whole Burrowhead leading up to AFC Championship game and all that stuff, but it still took Kansas City a last-second field goal to beat Joe Burrow. If not, Cincinnati would have beaten Kansas City 4 straight times,
Yeah,
2 of those times in Kansas City. So Joe Burrow is the truth, man. There's no debating that.
absolutely. Shout out to Kyrie in the comments. Yes, congratulations to Magic Johnson on becoming the Washington Commanders' first black co-owner. Y'all know we love that, man. We super excited. Congratulations to Magic. Magic has definitely been setting the tone since he was a player, and his business acumen, after leaving the game, is nothing short of remarkable. So congratulations to Magic Johnson on that.
Gotta congratulate him, man. And the energy in DC was completely different. I don't know if everybody got to see the videos, but that energy with Magic, with Josh Harris, with that ownership group in front of the Commanders fans. I've been down here a few years, and I've been coming down here for a few years. I have never seen this fan base this excited about anything the team has done in the offseason. That's including free agency, that's including draft. So this is a fan base that is desperate for a shot of energy and something different to kind of get them over the hump as to what Daniel Snyder brought there. So it's a new day in DC.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna run through 3, 4, and 5, because I want to talk about number
Let's
6.
get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
They got Jalen Hurts ranked at number 6. Eric, I want you to tell me: should Jalen Hurts be ranked ahead of any of these 3 guys that are in front of him? Josh Allen at 3, Aaron Rodgers at 4, and Justin Herbert at number 5. Should Jalen Hurts be ranked ahead of any of those 3 guys?
Yes. Well, he should definitely be ahead of Aaron Rodgers at 4 and Jay Herbo at 5. Jay Herbo, I really like him a lot, but let's call it what it is. Justin Herbert's been a starting quarterback for 3 seasons. He has not won one playoff game. He's only played in 1 playoff game. So to put him ahead of Jalen Hurts, it's bias, because there are people who like Herbert coming out of college, and they've held on to that likeness, and they don't want to call it what it is. The kid, as a team player, has underachieved. Let's also not forget Jalen Hurts was the runner-up in the MVP this year. Jalen Hurts single-handedly did some things that we haven't really seen since the Michael Vick days at quarterback position in terms of running and passing. Jalen Hurts deserves to be ahead of him. And as I mentioned before, career-wise, Aaron Rodgers probably has the second best career out of all the guys out on the top 10. But currently, right now, 40 years old, he is not better than Jalen Hurts. So Josh Allen, I would take Josh Allen ahead of him because Josh Allen has shown for 3 consistent seasons now that he is an MVP caliber quarterback. He's got some playoff wins under his belts. He's gone toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes as well. So I would put him slightly ahead of Jalen Hurts. But we can't overlook a guy who, in his second full season as a starter, went to the Super Bowl and was the runner-up for MVP. Had he not gotten injured, I think he would have won MVP over Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and that's the other thing when you're talking about MVP rankings. Now, obviously, we know who Aaron Rodgers is career-wise. We know his resume speaks for itself. But we're talking about right now in 2023, going to this up and coming season, is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts should be number 4 on the list. I will give you Josh Allen. I do think Josh Allen should be ranked 3rd on the list. But with Jalen Hurts, like you said, he's gone to a Super Bowl. He's gotten better in every year now, and he could have been this past season's MVP if he does not get injured. So yeah, I would rank Jalen Hurts ahead of both of those guys. Madden, y'all might need to check the ratings on that one too, because Jalen Hurts' rating was a little low. I think it was like an 88. So y'all might need to boost the numbers up a little bit. But other than that, yeah, as far as Justin Herbert, love him, but you got to do some damage in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts has already been to the Super Bowl. He's been to the Promised Land. He hasn't won, but he's been there, and it was very close. So I would put him ahead of both of those guys.
Again, last second field goal, right? Kansas City kicks the last second field goal. I'm sorry. Kansas City, yes. They get the holding call on 4th down, kick the last second field goal to beat the Eagles. Jalen Hurts statistically had a better Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes. He had the bad fumble in that game, but he scored 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts did everything he could to try to lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl. There's no way that I would put Justin Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts right now when statistically it doesn't even match up. Playoff wins, it don't even match up. Jalen Hurts has already done more in his 2 years as a starter.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just gonna name 7 and 8 real quick. They got Lamar Jackson at 7 and Trevor Lawrence at 8. I want to say this: next season, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a jump ahead of a couple of QBs. Just based off of what we saw from him to finish the season and going into the playoffs. I think he's going to continue to improve. And then when you also add in the fact that they're going to get Calvin Ridley this season, who is a receiver league, he has the weapons to really take that next leap forward on the side of the football. So I just want to say that about Trevor Lawrence, because I do want to start getting to these fan questions.
I like it, but I like it. Yeah, Lamar 7, Trevor Lawrence 8. I expect both of them to have big seasons, especially with the upgraded weapons. You mentioned Calvin Ridley, and Lamar's getting Odell, and they got a particular running back that I know we're gonna get into it.
Facts. I just wanted to throw Drunk's comment up there. It says I saw a graphic that compares Jalen Hurts' first 44 games to Tyrod Taylor's first 44 games. Stats are very similar.
Yeah, but that's not really a fair comparison, because you got to remember Jalen Hurts, his first couple games, I believe his first 6 games in the league was taken over for Carson Wentz that year. So the weapons weren't the same, and it was a system that wasn't really built for him. I think a more accurate depiction is look at his last 20 games. Look at his games last year, along with the previous season when they made the playoffs as well. Under Nick Sirianni, what he's done, he has shown that he is an MVP caliber quarterback in the league, especially now with a system that's built around him. So I think it's a little unfair to rate those first couple games when the system wasn't built around him.
Yeah, that's one thing I would say about that is, which is good for. It's actually really good for Tyrod Taylor. It says a lot for him because he didn't have the weapons that Jalen Hurts has, around him right now. We talk about AJ Brown is probably a top 5 wide receiver in football. Devontae Smith on the other side of that. Last season, the year that Miles Sanders had, they have so many for Jalen Hurts. I don't think Tyrod Taylor ever had anything really close to that kind of talent surrounding him. Shout out to Tyrod Taylor as well. Let's go to. I'm gonna take Ron Ron's, because I just dropped a clip with Ron talking about the impact of Steph Curry. Ron says the Steph Curry has a doc called Underrated. It's a must see if you all have not seen it. Anything sports documentaries I'm with. I'm always in support of that. But yeah, definitely check about Steph Curry is one of the greatest to ever play this game, the greatest shooter to ever play this game, and it's not even close. Like number two is not even close to Steph Curry. Now I don't know if I feel like he's underrated because I feel like they rate him as one of the best ever. So I don't know if you can really say underrated, but I guess you got to watch the documentary to really get into it and what their meaning of underrated is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a reference to him coming out of Davidson and maybe not getting the respect he deserved because he had some great tournament runs at Davidson. And yet, when you still look at some of the guys that were drafted in front of him, Ricky Rubio, Johnny Flynn, there's a couple guys. Yeah, those two specifically because Minnesota completely dropped the ball with an opportunity to take Steph. So maybe that's what the reference is there.
Well, yeah, I hope they talk about that because other than that, nobody underrates Steph. Like he's always rated as one of the best to ever play the game
Right.
of basketball. So, like I don't know who's crazy enough to underrate Steph. Who's out here doing that? But it is what it is. Let me go to Hoop Baller Scoop. Let's see what Hoop Baller Scoop has got up there. Take that one.
Yeah. First of all, shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop. He's been showing a lot of support as well. He said last week's show was amazing with Ron Hargrove. Shout out to H2O again, man. He was excited with fan questions. That was dope, and that's why we appreciate you guys, man. You keep the show lively. You keep a lot of energy in here for not only us but anybody who joins us. And then he mentioned Nisha Butler, Anthony. We talked about this. Yeah, so that picture you sent over, Pooh, we looked at it. That's the Nisha Butler we were talking about that played with the Liberty. The question from last week was referencing a different Nisha Butler. So we're still waiting for some clarification on that. But that is the Nisha Butler that played with the Liberty and then dealt with some injuries in her career. And she is originally from New York as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you too for sending over the pick.
And
so cool.
And shout out to Hoop Baller School for anybody who doesn't follow him on Facebook. I know I do, Trip. I'm not sure if you do. I think you do because he's tagged us in some stuff as well. He's been putting up some really good. He's been putting up some really good questions and debates, man. So I've been thoroughly entertained by them joints, and I'm checking them out every time you post them.
Facts. Big shout out to Hoop Baller School. Shout out to everybody, man, in the group chat. Like, we really appreciate the interaction. So big shout out to all of you guys. Okay, Poole, I see you out there, Poole. Kyrie Irving made his Drew League debut, 20 points, 11 assists, 13 rebounds, messed around and caught a triple-double. Today was a good day. I think all NBA players should experience playing in Drew League and Rucker Leagues. Absolutely. There was a time when it was like you had to get to Rucker Park to play because you didn't get that stamp unless you came to Rucker Park. But any of the parks in New York City and just around the country as well, like the big parks that are known for the street ball tournament. You got to get that. You got to get the streets behind you, man. You got to get that stamp. And the only way you get that is if you come to the park and hoop. And you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Kyrie for doing that. But yeah, a lot of y'all NBA players, y'all need to back to Rucker Park, or you need to go to Dykeman, go to Gersh, Hoops in the Sun, West 4th, Tri-State, whatever. Y'all need to start playing because you gotta have the streets behind you, man.
That's a fact. And I love that comment by Pooh because we talked about that with Mike Lowry as well, man. That's what makes these summer events special when an NBA player can pull up and the regular average guy who might be at the park might get a chance to see them, whether it's a Kevin Durant, whether it's Kobe. There's been a lot of footage of Kobe at Rucker floating around recently, and now Kyrie doing that at the Drew League. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Trip, or correct me in the comments, anybody who's watching, I think this is Kyrie's like second or third time popping out at the Drew League as well.
Yeah. Like there was another like 2 years. Was it 2 years ago? I think.
Yeah, during that after that first season with the Nets, he popped out at the Drew League.
Yeah,
or it might have been right before that first season, but somewhere around there.
I ain't gonna hold you. I was a little tight though, because Kyrie did just come to Rucker Park. I think for one second, like 2 weeks ago, he was in Rucker, but he ain't lace him up. So I was like, oh, come on, But he had the the children with him, so I can't be too mad. But he definitely was at Rucker Park at least, and that's the thing. And even if you're not playing in the Rucker, you still need to come out and support, show love to the people at Rucker Park, man. Because the people, when you talk about these kind of historic basketball sites in the city, the biggest and the brightest and just everybody in between have all, come through the Rucker Park. They want to come support. They want to come play. You know what I mean? So you got to come through and show that love, man. Show that support.
You have to, man. Which comment we want to get to next, Trip? We got a lot of comments here, man. Let's
Okay.
get to
You know what? Let me take Courtney's question because
okay.
so we can finish. So we can wrap up with the NFL because her question is related to one of the topics that we did have. Thoughts on Saquon Barkley's whole situation. Let me first of all I'm gonna take that question first because as a
That's
Giants supporter on
that's
the show. Um,
that's close to the vest for you right there.
yeah, and the crazy thing is Eric. I literally was just going through this at the beginning. It was in the late spring, early summer with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Now I got to go through this. I want my pressure to be high with these contract situations, man. Get Saquon Barkley his money. He deserves it. I understand you guys have undervalued and underappreciated the running back position for so long now. You feel like running backs come a dime a dozen, but when you're talking about Saquon Barkley, he's one of the best in football right now. He's put in a lot of pain for the New York Giants, and he's bounced back from injuries. He came back this past season, and the chemistry that's been developing between him and Daniel Jones to help them, not only get to the playoffs, but get a win in the playoffs and have a great year last season. Go ahead, man. Give Saquon Barkley his money so we can get this thing going and get right back to where we left off last season. The team definitely made a lot of improvements this off season, so I want to see them get that contract signed so the pressure can be off.
Yeah, so I want to say this, man. First and foremost, Saquon deserves to be paid. Saquon is without doing the rankings, and I know we're not doing running backs this week, but he's a top 6 running back in the league. He's shown his worth, and obviously he's had to play with some below average quarterbacks during this time. No disrespect to Daniel Jones, but before the season, Daniel Jones has looked like trash prior to this year's playoff run. But with that being said, though, the tricky part of all this is, as fans, we love the fast-paced NFL style of no huddle offense and throwing the ball 40 times a game and airing it out and up and down the field. And that doesn't help running backs because it makes their position expendable. We don't need a running back who can carry the ball 25 to 30 times a game when we expect to air it out. So that's, I think, where we're at with the NFL and with running backs. He should be paid. I think they will figure something out. Granted, he's playing on the franchise tag, but I think they will figure something out to just kind of come to terms and get peace in the building. But I don't think it's going to be anything like a 4 or 5 year deal like you see quarterbacks, receivers, and left tackles get. I think it's going to be something closer to a 2 year deal, and they'll revisit this topic probably again next offseason, man.
Yeah, facts. Lashina, I don't see your original comment about the woman of Troy. I think you reposted. Let me throw that up on the screen really quick. Can I give you two some some homework? And next show, y'all give feedback. The doc is called Woman of Troy on HBO. Legendary team. You know what? I ain't mad. I'll take
Nah,
because I documentary. So I'll take that.
yeah. So I have. We won't get into it because Trip, I don't think you've seen it yet, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
All right. So I have seen it. Obviously, it does center around Cheryl Miller's time there. So we can get into it next week though. But it is a very good documentary, and I'm gonna go back and watch it again just because I know we're gonna talk about it on the next episode.
Okay, yeah. So we definitely gonna do that because I gotta watch that. Appreciate you. I want to say Lashina. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, I apologize. If I'm pronouncing it right, just say yes in the comments, just so I know that we all good. Hoop Baller Scoop talks about it as well. Let me throw his comment up there.
Yeah, his comment showed up, but it looks like Lashina's was before his because he says to the lady talking about but hers for some reason didn't show up.
So yeah, Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, the McGee twins. First of all, Cheryl Miller, man. Whew, you gotta put respect on her name, man. That's the OG for real. And then we talking about Cynthia Cooper, one of the founding mothers of the WNBA, true legend right there as well. So I'm gonna definitely check that out this week. And we'll talk about it next week when we get back here. Hopefully I can get a couple of the ladies to join us as well. I spoke to Nikki Avery, her and Renee are down to come on the show. We just got to figure out a time to get them on the program because it's summer and they're actually playing right now. So we just got to get the schedules right. But I'm gonna bring them on the show soon. Hold on, Drunk. What's this? Let me see Drunk's comments. Don't raise. I see. I know y'all the NFL, but don't raise your kids to be running back. I mean, listen, man. They do take the most punishment and have the shortest careers. And they're not respected as as the Barry Sanders days. The LaDainian Thompson days. They're not as respected back then, but when you talk about guys like Christian McCaffrey, like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, you're talking about some of the best players in football. You know what I mean? So we still got to show the running backs some love. But if you want them to get the bag, you might not want to have them playing running back. Might want to put them at wide receiver or quarterback because they definitely get into the bag.
Yeah, but that's a part of the history of the game, though. We've seen that even with every position, right? You look at if you're an offensive lineman growing up, they want to kind of make you a tackle, a left tackle or right tackle, because that's where you really get the bag. If you're a D lineman growing up, they want you to be a defensive end because that's really where you get the money. You know what I'm saying? So if you play in the secondary, it's better to play cornerback than safety because that's where you really get the money. So um, unfortunately, that's just the ugly part of the game, man. But I think we see that in every sport as well. We see that in baseball as well because left-handed pitchers, they stick around forever and they keep getting it back no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Utility outfielders. If you could play multiple positions, you stick around forever and you get the bag. So it's an ugly truth for the game. It's unfortunate for some great running backs, but that's just the business of it, man.
Facts.
I know, Trip. I know you're trying to get the connection right there. We got two comments. Trip, when you get a chance, throw this one up there. Deontay Fife. I know somebody else had mentioned it about the basketball tournament. I'm gonna be getting into the basketball tournament the next couple of days. Amani said it, and now Deontay has said it as well. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it with my current work schedule, but I am gonna be getting into it. But comment, let us know what y'all been seeing, man. Let us know what team we should be watching out for. Trip, I don't know if you gotten a chance to watch any of the games.
No. I haven't just yet. I got a lot of homework to do this week. We're gonna talk about it next week. I'm gonna get caught up with everything. Um, and all this week. Like now, this week I got time. I've actually been working on a documentary myself on the Holy Trinity football team. So now that I'm done with the documentary, I can actually start getting back to being a fan and watching things. So I am looking forward to that. So I'm gonna check that out, and I'm gonna hit up HBO, and I'm gonna check out the documentary that you guys have been suggesting on Troy, and I'm gonna watch that as well. Let me throw this one up. Deontay Pfeiffer. Didn't y'all have Eric Barkley last year? Yes, we did. Eric
It
Barkley
wasn't. It wasn't even last year. It was a
was
couple
earlier
months
this year.
ago. Yeah, it was earlier this year. We had him on.
Yeah, might have been earlier this year. Yeah, Eric Barkley. Shout out to Eric Barkley. That's a friend of the show. I'm sure he'll be back rocking with us in due time. As well. That's just he's a phone call away. That's family. But dope interview. You guys were very interactive with that one as well. We got a couple more surprises as far as interviews that's gonna be coming up as well. Just as a thank you to you guys for all of the support over the past couple of weeks, couple of months. Really.
And yeah, Trip. No, no, my fault. This comment caught my attention. That's why.
Oh, okay. But no, go ahead. Which comment? I'm gonna throw it up on the
Uh,
screen.
Deontay's right there about people requesting Omar Cook. We would love to have Omar Cook on.
Okay. St. John's. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely follow his career when he was playing high school, college. He was one of the ones from New York City as well. Every time when I think I go back to the New York's the point guards documentary, like New York has produced some of the best point guards, what I'm saying, a lot of really good point guards. But yeah, Omar Cook is another one that's dope. I would love to interview him as well. I mean, we want to interview everybody. We want to we want to bring everybody on the show for you guys. It's just about the timing and when we can reach out to who we need to reach out to make it happen. But we definitely got a couple of more guests that's going to be joining us over the next couple of weeks. Let's get into a little NBA talk. I want to start with this Paul Pierce D Wade debate. I don't think it's a real debate, but in Paul Pierce's mind, he's better than Dwayne Wade. He went on Cameron's show. It is what it is, and they asked him about it, and in his mind, he feels like he's better than Dwayne Wade. I don't understand it. He gave some okay reasoning, but it's like the reasons that he gave could use it for either one of them in the argument. But I just think it's clear that Wade is the better player. I don't think Paul Pierce has never been an All NBA first team player. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. But so I started when I started comparing the two. I went in and I'm looking. I'm just like, oh shoot, I didn't even realize that Paul Pierce has never been All NBA first team. So I mean, just just that itself is like, well, I don't know, buddy. D Wade has definitely been All NBA first team, but that's just me.
Hold on, I want to say this first and foremost. Paul Pierce was a very good basketball player. I don't want to make it seem like we taking anything away from Paul Pierce. He was a very the nickname was given for a reason. He was the truth. He was a very good basketball player, and a lot of people remember what he looked like the second half of his career as opposed to early on when he was a little more athletic and he could punch it on you. He could do some things, you know what I'm saying, early in his career athletically that obviously as he got older and gained a little weight, he wasn't able to do the same. But super skilled, can score at all three levels. Played a methodical, quote unquote, old man game, that YMCA type game, you know what I'm saying, where he just gets to a spot and he pull up on you. But he was not D Wade. Let's keep it a buck. He was not better than D Wade. Dwayne Wade. When people talk about injuries to stars, Dwayne Wade should be mentioned in those conversations because even though Dwayne Wade is the first ballot Hall of Famer, Dwayne Wade's resume would be even stronger if
Mhm.
injuries had not played a part in his career. Which again speaks to how great Dwayne Wade was. For Paul Pierce, I understand the comment when he said, "Yeah, if I had played with Shaq, Braun, and Bosh, I would have won more than one ring." Yeah, maybe you would have won more than one ring. Okay, that's fine. But you still needed KG and Ray Allen just to get you to that one finals. And if you look at his numbers in that one finals, they weren't amazing. They were good numbers. They weren't great numbers. When I look at D Wade's numbers in his first finals against the Dallas Mavericks, those are great numbers.
Yeah.
When I look at D Wade's first playoff run, and which was his second year in the league, when he had Lamar Odom and Caron Butler as his supporting cast, those were amazing numbers. Dwayne Wade was one of the best players in his era. As you mentioned, you talked about first team. And let's not get it confused either. When we talk about shooting guards, Dwayne Wade is really in the conversation at like the number 3 best shooting guard of all time behind Mike and Kobe.
Facts.
Like you could make a legitimate debate that Dwayne Wade is the third best shooting guard. There is no argument that could be made that puts Paul Pierce as the third best small forward. And again, that's not knocking Paul Pierce,
No.
but you will never hear anybody put Paul Pierce, not even I think in the top 5 small forwards of all time. We legitimately will talk about Dwayne Wade as the third best shooting guard of all time.
No, facts. And again, no, it's not a slight to Paul Pierce because Paul Pierce is nice, but it's, in the pecking order, you're not better than D Wade, man. Yeah, if you had Braun and Bosh, but you had Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and to be honest with you, Kevin Garnett was the best player on that team. That first year they came in when they won the chip, Kevin Garnett came in defensive player of the year that year.
And
When
Doc Rivers said that. Doc Rivers said Kevin Garnett is the one who changed the culture.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So let's not act like you didn't have players, you know what I'm saying? Like Garnett was still he was at the end of his prime, but he was still in his prime that last year. When they won the championship, that was still prime Garnett, who was defensive player of the year. When Shaq got to Miami, Shaq was looking a little different out there. He wasn't looking like LA Shaq dominating 28 and 12, 2.5 blocks. It wasn't that Shaq. You know what I mean? Yeah, Miami, teaming up with Braun and Bosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess Paul Pierce, if you were on that team, you would win too. You should win. You know what I'm saying too. But you've had teammates, and you haven't been able to do what Wade has done. There's certain aspects of your game that are better than certain aspects of Dwayne Wade's game. But as an overall player, even when we're just basing, just skills versus skills, I think Wade was a better defensive player as well. I think he was one of the best shot blocking guards for a long time in basketball. So I just man. Wade is the guy. He's definitely better than Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Um,
Throw Drunk's question up there about Paul Pierce and Paul George.
let's see.
Because that's an interesting debate.
Um,
Off the cusp, I'll say I think Paul Pierce was better than Paul George. I think I'll say it this way: his resume is better than Paul George. I think
yeah,
Paul George skill wise is better because healthy Paul George before the injury he had for Team USA, I think was one of the most complete players the league had ever seen. Truthfully, he could do
Yes.
everything on a basketball court. He was so
I think
young, and
maybe
yeah, like let's not forget, prior to that injury, Pacers Paul George did go toe to toe with Braun in a playoff series. Paul
yes.
George was like next up. Then the injury started to kind of rob him of his athleticism and rob him of some of the parts of his game. But totality of the resume, Paul Pierce, I think, is ahead of Paul George.
Yeah, I think if Paul George didn't deal with the injuries as much, we may be able to argue something different because Paul George lost a lot of time, because of injuries, and then when you add on to the fact, it's hard to once you get that NBA championship ring, and you're the Finals MVP. You got to do a lot to knock those guys out the spot because that's the real MVP where it really matters once you get into the NBA Finals. So it's hard, to really give Paul George the edge in this one. If he's able to win a ring before he retires, we can come back and have this conversation again, and then really can break down. But as of right now, I would have to go with Paul Pierce on that one. Let me throw Kyrie's question up. Did y'all watch the Paul George and KG watch party? Yes, he was definitely wild, but he's
this,
known for that. So I'm
this is
not
my
shocked.
girlfriend. This is my girlfriend.
Yeah. This is the guy that smokes weed and has strippers partying on live. So we know this about Paul Pierce already. Like that's the other reason why they call him the truth. He out here living his best life. So I can't even knock that hustle.
Yeah. I think it's amazing what KG's doing in the media space. He had the show on TNT, and now he has his own podcast that they're doing watch parties. And I think it's great for a lot of these players who now have come into the media space and allow us to see their personality and see the interactions with each other. Because so many times we only see them compete against each other. We don't know about the friendships. We don't know about what takes place off the court. So to kind of see all these guys interact with each other, break down the game, and then show us their personality, I think it is amazing.
Yeah. You gotta love that, man. Let me throw up another question. Hold
We
on.
got some great questions in here too.
Yeah, well, you know what? All right, let me go to. I'm gonna take. We just took one from. All right, let me go to Dion Hoops page question. Let me ask. Do you ask the question on my platform? How many good seasons did Gilbert Arenas have? He talks like he was some great player. I know he got hurt. What's y'all thoughts on him? I rock with Gilbert Arenas. He was definitely a top player at during his prime years. I want to say I want to give him 5 years. Where he was really one of the top players in the NBA. I give him like 5 years. Unfortunately, he played on a team that really wasn't that good. They were a mid-tier playoff team. But Gilbert Arenas as their best player, I just didn't think the rest of the team was that strong. But I do like Gilbert Arenas a lot. I think during his peak years, he definitely was one of them ones in the league.
I like Drunk's question too, because we're gonna get to that next. But Gilbert Arenas had 4 to 5 really good years in the league. Gilbert Arenas fancies himself as an elite basketball player. He's very good, don't get me wrong, but he fancies himself better than I think the resume holds up. They never made it out of the second round of the playoffs. I think second round was their cap. He even in college, he thought he was the best player on the team, even though clearly Richard Jefferson was the best player on the team and Channing Frye was the second best player on the team. So he views himself, I think, higher than a lot of other people do. So yeah, he talks a little crazy. I think some of it is shock value. I think some of it is just the ego of a guy who knew, like in his prime, he could hang with anybody in the league, and the numbers will show that he had some big scoring nights. But in terms of overall resume and like ranking yourself amongst the greats, stop it, Fob. You're not even a top 100 player of all time, and that's not a knock. I'm just saying he's not a top 100 player of all time. So to talk as crazy as he does, like to say his career is comparable to Steph Curry, is wild.
I don't. Yeah, that's out of pocket. I'm
He
not.
said that though. He has said that, which is crazy because, like I said, I remember Gil's game at his prime, and I'm like, Gil was good. And Gil has some
He wasn't
very great.
that. He was.
He has some great scoring nights, But there is nobody who's watched basketball over the last 25 years who would even rank you as a top 100 player.
Yeah.
So to even put your name in the conversation with Steph, who we all think is going to at the very least, be a top 20 player, is wild.
Yeah, that's a bit much. I'm gonna go to Junk's question while we're talking to Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas or John Wall in their prime, who y'all got? I I guess I'm gonna go John Wall, but they injuries really not even just injuries in Gilbert Arenas' case. Other factors contributed to his downfall as well. But injuries kind of messed up both of their careers. Like I would have liked to see their careers continue without the injuries taking up chunks of seasons from both of those guys. But I guess if I gotta pick, I'll go John Wall.
I would lean more. Well, this is a great question as well. I would lean more towards John Wall. I just love this game, and I think John Wall was probably one of the last few real true point guards that could distribute, that can get to a spot on the court, that could score. He could do it all. They just never had the supporting cast around him. I think if you would have put John Wall with Antoine Jameson, with Larry Hughes, with some of them teams that Gilbert Arenas played with, he probably would have even been better. John Wall, let's not get it twisted. He turned Marcin Gortat into a high level player in the league, and Gortat was never that. But John Wall distributed and turned him into that. John Wall made up for a lot of the deficiencies that Bradley Beal had as well. So for me, John Wall, I think, is slightly better than Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, that's I mean, you got to go John Wall in this situation. Again, I would like to have seen both of their careers without all of the injuries, just to see where they could have landed. I guess all time ranking wise, because they both had. I think John Wall's potential was a little bit higher, but they both had potential if they could have stayed healthy and played a lengthy amount of time. Because they were both all stars. And they were top players. So but injuries definitely derailed a lot for both of those guys. Let me throw Kyrie's question up. WNBA question: can anyone beat the Aces? Shout out to the ladies in the WNBA. Yes, there's a team that could beat the Aces, and you're gonna see come playoff time. And it's the team from New York. They was getting their swag right early on in the season. Now they got their swag right. Sabrina Ionescu out there winning the 3-point contest, 23s in a row, breaking them records and whatnot. They gonna be the team that does it. Gonna be in the WNBA and right in the playoffs. They going at it. We taking them out. They winning that thing.
I would love for it to be the Liberty, you know that. But I think, yeah, anything is possible in the playoffs, especially in the WNBA playoffs, because those are 2 out of 3. So if you have a bad night, you could be down 0-1 in a series now, and now you got to be perfect the next 2 nights. And we know how difficult that can be in a playoff setting. So I think they can be beat. On the surface, looking at the records now, it's like, oh, they so far ahead of everyone else. But in a playoff setting, 2 out of 3, I mean, not even a bad week, a bad couple days, and you going home. So I wouldn't say they're unbeatable. I think they should be the favorites, but they are beatable.
Plus, we still got the best player in WNBA, Breanna Stewart. Just putting that out there. All right? But I'm biased, so don't
let them know, Trip. Let them know, Trip.
New York state of mind, baby. That's how we do it out here, But let me go to Dion Hoops page question. Who are your top 5 skilled players in the current NBA? Can you be one of the best 5 skilled players, but not a top 5 as a player?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And it's a great question, but absolutely, because isn't Kyrie one of the most skilled players in the league?
I would agree. And
but
I don't
Kyrie,
think
he's not a top 5, right? So you can be one of the most skilled guys in the game on the court. That does not mean that you're one of the top 5 guys, because the overall game is completely different than just my skills. Like Kyrie is a top 5 skilled guy and everything he can do offensively, but he's very limited defensively. And he's limited in some other areas as well that you can attack him at. So I think skill and then being a top 5 guy are 2 different things.
In my top 5, I would say Jokic. I would say Kyrie.
Top 5 skilled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jokic. I would say Kyrie. I think you still got to say it. Kevin Durant. I think,
of course,
top 5 skill players. Steph. I think what's that? That 4 right there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's 4.
Yes, name 4.
And I'm gonna go Braun with the 5th spot.
Okay.
I think Braun is one of the top skilled players, whether or not you have him ranked in the top 5 right now. But if we're just talking about skill sets and what LeBron can do, first of all, LeBron can do damn near everything. So yeah, I would put LeBron in as the 5th.
And you know what's crazy? See, that emphasizes the point I'm just making, right? So you just named 5 guys. You didn't name Giannis,
No,
who I think we would all agree is a top 5 player in the league.
absolutely.
And you didn't name Jason Tatum, who a lot of people would say is a top 5 player in the league.
Nope, I did not.
So that emphasizes the point. You could be a top 5 skilled player and not be a top 5 actual player in the league.
Yes, that's my 5. Who you got, Eric?
I like that list as well. I think what you said Joker. You said in terms of skill, you said Joker.
Joker, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Steph, and Braun.
I like the list. I agree. I think honorable mention is Tatum, because Tatum is a great two-way player.
Yeah,
And Tatum over the last 2 years has really developed not only his three-point shot, his offensive creation as well. So he's an honorable mention. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, Luka is highly skilled, not as athletic as those other guys, but in terms of skill set, Luka, but he's limited on the defensive end.
yeah. So
But yeah, I think I agree with your list for the most part. Like I said, Tatum probably would be the honorable mention.
all right, so there you go. Shout out to Dion Hoops page. All right, Ron. We I think we're ready now. We're gonna get into this. We've been saving this one since y'all last showed Poole and Green. It's got crazy. Yes, I agree. It definitely got crazy. Did y'all hear what Poole's dad said about Green? Is Draymond talking about to punch too much? Why Mr. Poole talking now? All right. So Eric, what you want to go first on this one, Eric?
Yeah, I don't like this, man. And shout out to Matt Barnes, because I like the comment or the post that he put up recently where he said we still need to know who was it that put out this video from that practice, that infamous Golden State Warriors practice. Because first of all, that stuff that's supposed to be kept in house. Secondly, these are 2 grown men. So the fact that Jordan Poole's dad is now trying to step in for a grown man and his issues with Draymond, I just don't like it at all. I'm sure they spoke about this, whether they cool or not doesn't matter. I'm sure they resolved that on their own. We don't need Jordan Poole's dad getting involved and saying, he didn't want to see me in the arena and all that. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, facts. First of all, you're making it worse for Jordan Poole. That's number one.
Yeah.
You almost making it to the point where he got to pop off on Draymond Green now, because why is your daddy stepping in and trying to say something a year after the fact, and he saw Dre on in the tunnels and in the arenas and whatnot the whole year? Listen, bro, pops, respectfully, I'm gonna need you to have a seat. Like, there's no reason at this point in time, the time to speak on it, if you even spoke on it at all, because I don't think you should have spoke on it, period, because we're talking about 2 grown men. But the time for you to speak on it was a year ago when it happened. You didn't speak on it back then. I don't want to hear about now, and he got to see you, and he need to apologize to you and your wife. No, he does not. He does not need to apologize to either one of y'all. He don't know y'all. He didn't hit neither one of y'all. Now, I believe you already apologized to Jordan Poole. That is it. Now, if they want to throw the gloves on and get in a celebrity boxing match, by all means, y'all go and raise some money for charity. Y'all go and do that. But other than that, there's no reason for Jordan Poole's father to be getting involved in this. Now, granted, Draymond spoke on it, but he's going to be speaking on it, because whenever he goes someplace and does an interview, they're going to ask him about it. And he's going to get the type of person that Draymond is. He's not going to duck no smoke. He's going to talk about it. He'll be respectful, but if you ask him the question, he'll talk about it. It is what it is. It's time to move on now. There's a years going past. They're going separate teams. If y'all not getting in the ring, I'm good. I don't need to hear nothing else about it.
Yeah, I agree. It is time to move on. And for Jordan Poole, it's unfortunate because it's like he keeps getting reminded about it. It was one of the things that the reporters asked him when he got to DC. Now his dad is being asked about it. And it's an unfortunate situation. Obviously, it's an embarrassing moment for him on camera. And now we keep talking about it. Like, at this point, he want to move on already. He want to just play basketball, and we still talking about him having to eat that punch from Draymond.
Exactly. Hold on. Let me Let me throw Ron's comment because I got to address Ron right now. Ron, New York's just known for teaspoons, half court shot. Aces are missing legend Candace Parker and Williams the shooter. Yes, we are known for shout out to Teaspoon, the legend Teaspoon. All right, yes, that's what the New York Liberty are known for, her legendary half court shot in the WNBA finals that year. But I done told y'all before I'm biased, so that's how I feel about it. I think the Liberty is gonna beat them, so it don't matter. All right.
Listen, anything is possible at that time. Shout out to Drunk. Drunk got some great comments in here and Poole as well.
Let me see where's Poole at. Let me throw Poole's comment up here. Shout out to Poole. Jordan Poole just put up a post saying Draymond Green keeps talking about it, but I kind of feel for Poole. Think about it. He will always be known as getting chopped. The world has seen this. It's true, but like that's what I said. The only way for Jordan Poole right now, because I'm not telling you, I'm not in support of just going and popping on him in the arena because they're gonna see each other. They're gonna play each other at least twice this year, so they're gonna see each other. I'm not for that. If you want to get some get back, I would say call Draymond Green out to a celebrity boxing match. Get in the ring.
Just stole on him in the tunnel. Swing on him on it. Like
I don't want him to get suspended. I don't want him to lose no money. You know how that goes.
Listen, the Wizards
throw the gloves on and get in the ring.
Wizards ain't got nothing to play for this shit. Just go ahead and just stole on them. Get your little 10-game vacation, and you ain't got to worry about nothing. But I will say this too, right? Like Jordan Poole may feel like Draymond keeps talking about it, but Draymond keeps getting asked about it too. Like people are asking Draymond about it the same way they're asking Jordan Poole about it. And this goes back to Tripp's point. Like, let's just move on as a whole. But because people keep asking these two individuals about that infamous video, of course they're gonna keep addressing it.
Facts. Let me throw Hoops Nation comment up here. Whoever leaked that video needs to be on blast. At first, I thought the Warriors leaked it to make Green look bad. Yeah. At this point, I want to know who put the video out in the first place, because this whole situation could have been avoided. Fights happen all the time, you know, in the locker rooms, in the practice courts. Players talk about fights happening all the time, but we don't see them. And it's messed up for whoever put that video out, because, you know, the same way like when we see Chris Rock, now we're going to think about the slap. When we see Jordan Poole, like that's what's going to come up. We're going to the time he got knocked out by Draymond Green. That's just always gonna be there. So it sucks for whoever leaked the video. That's corny. That was really corny. That should have been kept in house. And then we wouldn't even be talking about this if the video never came out. Nobody would have known. That would have been it. It would have happened, and everybody would have moved on within the organization, and nobody else would have ever known about it.
It's super corny. I feel like there must have been some animosity already brewing, because who would even? No, I'm seriously, because who would even been recording?
Comment.
Like, but not like who would have been even recording the practice? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's your own practice, so who would have been recording at that moment? Unless you felt like, oh, there's animosity already here between these two. Which
no, it's the organization that's usually recording it, because you know
their own practice.
Yeah, because they're probably watching these things. Somebody within the organization, I don't think they do. They record practices. So
yeah, but that looked like that was like cell phone footage, bro. That didn't look like that was like two propped up high tech cameras. You know what I'm saying? Shooting the practice. That looked like somebody heard them arguing throughout practice and was like, yo, let me start getting some of this footage right here.
World star. I don't know, man. Yeah, TMZ might have gave Steve Kerr the badge. Hold on, let me throw Courtney's comment up. Eric, be honest. When y'all saw the punch, what was y'all first thoughts? I was like, damn. I was like, you better learn how to duck.
The first thing I said was his knees buckled. I saw the knees buckle. I'm a boxing fan, so I pay attention to that. When I see the knees buckle, I know you hurt. So he's on shaky legs. He's on shaky legs right now.
No, I remember we talked about it, and I said I didn't think it was a sucker punch, but I did think it was a sucker move. And I think that was my exact comments. I didn't think it was a sucker punch, but I thought it was a sucker move.
It was foul. So, it was definitely foul.
But you know, at the same time, bro, you got to know how to bob and weave, and you got to understand your surroundings. Like, you know, we from New York, so we used to keeping, you know, we got to have 5 eyes open, watching around every shoulder where you going from, where you walking. you want to train, you get into a car, whatever. In New York, we already trained for that. Jordan Poole, he need to spend some time. He got to come to the Rucker. He need to come to the Rucker and spend a summer in New York so he can learn certain things. Because you can't just let no man walk down on you that aggressively after you already done had a heated exchange and you not ready to square up with him. That was your problem right there. Like you assume that wasn't nothing gonna happen, and that was your mistake right there. Don't assume nothing gonna happen. Assume somebody's coming to whip your ass. Go into in a situation like that. Assume that man's gonna try to whip your ass at some point if you talking crazy, because it can always go there from two men talking crazy to each other. Can always turn into some hands being thrown. So just moving forward, just be aware of that. And that's for anybody else in the league, just be aware. That's how things happen.
Yeah, Jordan Poole, he definitely, his awareness is low. We got to check that on the 2K rating as well, because his awareness is probably terrible. Because first and foremost, like Tripp said, once you within arm's reach, I'm already sizing you up. Like, why are you walking down on me? And then if I see the hands clenched up, it's like, oh, I'm you got to roll with it. You got to be ready to shoulder roll with that. Like, he just ate the whole punch. Like, he didn't even move. You got to be better there.
Facts. Do y'all feel like Draymond should have said what Poole said to him, or no? I think at that point he was just, like, F it. You know what I'm saying? Pop's talking crazy. And you know what? Let me just say, what it is, just so y'all know. So because we automatically gonna villainize Draymond no matter what it is, just because of his persona, how he's carried himself over the years, all the technicals, the flagrants. So no matter what, we're gonna first and foremost look at Draymond as being the villain in the situation. So he's like, you know what? Let me just let y'all know what was up. And this is certain things people don't take too lightly.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think I'm trying to go back. I think Drunk was one who, it was a comment that caught my attention where he said Draymond should pray every night that he won chips with Curry, or else he'll be in Shanghai. I think that's a little unfair. Like, we don't like Draymond because he's so outspoken for a guy who isn't I don't think he's not a great player. Is he a Hall of Fame player? Only time will tell, because at this point, a lot of guys get into the Hall of Fame that we question anyway. But we also can't overlook the fact that Draymond was a defensive player of the year. Draymond could have won defensive player of the year last year. Draymond has been a first team all defensive player at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Draymond has been an all-star multiple times. Draymond played his role with this Warrior team. Now, everybody loves to say, oh, if Draymond played on another team, he would be a scrub. I wouldn't say the guy's a scrub. You make it to the league, you got some skill. Let's call it what it is. But would he have had the impact that he had with the Warriors? No. But we could say that about a lot of guys, because Ben Wallace didn't have the same impact when he wasn't with the Pistons anymore. When Ben Wallace left those Pistons teams with Chauncey and Rip and Tayshaun and Rashid and went to the Bulls, he didn't have the same impact. When Dennis Rodman, people love to talk about Dennis Rodman's impact. Look what Dennis Rodman was doing with the Spurs when he played with David Robinson. He struggled in that role. He couldn't adjust to that role, you know what I'm saying, of just of having to do more than just rebound. But when he was in a situation where he could just rebound and defend, he was the ultimate guy, ultimate teammate. So I think sometimes we give Draymond slack. He played his role, and he played it very well for a team that had the stars already. They had Steph and Clay.
Yeah, facts. You can't knock the hustle, man. At the end of the day, you don't win a defensive player of the year award being a scrub. Now, do I think Draymond Green would have the same resume if he played for another team? Probably not. Would Draymond Green, have that same resume as the best player on the team?
No.
Definitely not.
No.
But on that team, he has stepped up, and he really is the third best player on that team. And sometimes you may be able to argue he's second best. Who knows? If you depend on where you rank defense and offense. You know what I'm saying? So we do have to give Draymond his respect from that standpoint. Like he's a baller. You know what I'm saying? Like defensively, he's one of the top guys. Well, maybe not so much now, but I think so still. He's still one of the top.
Last year he was still in the conversation for defensive player of the year.
Yeah, so even now he still is. So you got to give him that respect. Offensively, obviously we know he's not as skilled as maybe we would like for him to be, but he does things on offense that everybody doesn't need to score 25 a night. But if I can give you 8 assists, 9 points, get a couple of offensive rebounds. I could run the offense for you. I'm gonna take that, especially when you're giving me elite defense on the other side of the basketball.
You have to, and listen, a lot of guys again fill that role. When you win or compete for a championship, there's some guys I don't need 20 points from you. I need you to play defense. I need you to be an enforcer. I need you to just grab boards. There are a lot of guys in the league who score 20 points. There's not a lot of guys who can humble themselves and say, look, if you just need 10 rebounds and 4 points from me, that's what I'm gonna give you. So I think Draymond fills that role perfectly. He's a guy you don't have to run any offense for, yet they let him run the offense. He's like the pseudo point forward. So I think Draymond does exactly what he's supposed to do for this Warrior team to be successful.
Facts. I'm just gonna throw Hoop Ball Scoop last comment up there.
I
Uh,
agree with this comment
yeah, what was funny?
1000%.
Draymond know who to hit. Remember a month after he got into it with Isaiah Stewart, and Stewart was throwing Green around. Yep, Stewart was the cat that was rushing Braun. Yep, so yeah, you know who that. I mean, there was also the rumor, about him and Tristan Thompson. Thompson pressed him. I don't,
Right.
it was a rumor. I said alleged. I don't know if it because I wasn't there. I ain't see the video evidence, but they said, Tristan, might have, hit him and he might have touched the ground. That's what they said. I don't want to spread no rumors, but that's what they were saying.
Well, we know Trip. We know that to be fact with a lot of guys because a lot of guys who project that image of like they super tough, they pick and choose who they super tough with. Remember, there's that infamous clip of when Zebo's talking to DeMarcus Cousins. He goes, "I bully the bullies." DeMarcus Cousins wasn't talking back to Zebo. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff that DeMarcus Cousins had done with other guys, he knew like I really can't get over on this particular individual, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it
That's
is
how
what
it
it
is.
is. Yeah. Oh, Kimber Walker. He's gonna be playing in Europe right now. It's crazy, man. Like, shout out to Kimber Walker. I love Kimber. But it's just crazy. Like, how do you go from being all NBA and then it's just like when Max Kellerman used to talk about the cliff for Tom Brady, like it was like Kimber hit that cliff. It was like all NBA 13 with Charlotte, and then boom, it's just the floor fell out and you just dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm glad he's still hooping though. Big shout out to Kimber. We always support to get
Drunk, drunk is wild, bro. Drunk is wild. Come on, drunk. You can't just say that about the man. Come on, man. Come on. Nah, listen, hold on, man. I can't allow drunk to say that, man. Kemba's from the Bronx, man. He's from the Bronx. We love and support everybody from the Bronx, man. Shout out to Kemba. But the injuries, man, like you said, he was the third team all NBA his last year in Charlotte. He got hurt that year. He kind of rushed back because it was a free agency season. He got the new contract with Boston. He never fully healed up. And every year since then, you kind of saw him just playing catch up. The crazy part was, remember, he signed that contract that year before the bubble. He got hurt right before the bubble. And when they came back from the bubble, he was still rehabbing. That's when you knew the injury was real because the NBA had taken 3 months off and he still needed more time to recover, which speaks to the fact that he rushed back initially and was never the same. Kemba Walker, it's going to be unfulfilled potential because we know what he was in college at UConn and winning a national championship and that tournament run he went on and what he looked like early in his career, but the injuries did rob him of what was going to be a very good career.
Yeah. Yeah. Sucks. Oh, and just so y'all know, the name of the team is AS Monaco. So it does sound like a soccer team.
Drunk, yeah. Drunk. If I see you out here with a soccer jersey that say walk on it, drunk a wild boy, man.
Facts. Let me throw Hoop Ball Scoop comment up here. The NBA, they will turn their back on you with injuries. Yeah. Injuries will definitely stop a lot, especially if you can't bounce back. And even some guys, they bounce back. I don't want to say too late. Like say for a guy like Grant Hill, right, who dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's someone who probably if Grant Hill doesn't get injured, the trajectory is top 75 based off of what we saw from Grant Hill, right? Is that fair to say?
Without a doubt, he's top 75 player without injuries.
Yeah, so somebody like Grant Hill, who was able to come back later, but he had missed so much of the prime of his career. And we even saw the years with the Clippers, the last couple of years, he was still balling. It was just that, but you knew, all right, well, he's not ever gonna be the Grant Hill said was on track to be that type of player, top 75 type of player from what we had seen from him in his career. But yeah, injuries will jam you up. Sometimes they hit you from the start of the career, like Greg Oden. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they hit you in the middle of the career. Sometimes they start hitting you in the later years, like with Kobe, and you start missing chunks of season. But yeah, injuries will definitely throw a lot off. I mean, we spoke about Gilbert and John Wall, two guys who injuries really impacted the peak success of their careers. So yeah.
Yeah, injuries. I mean, that's it's always the what could have been. You mentioned Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway's on that list as well. Brandon Roy, a lot of guys. And shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop, because when you mentioned Grant Hill, he talks about his impact with the Suns. I was going to say the same thing. Grant Hill kind of redefined himself later in his career with the Suns and with the Clippers. But again, he never was able to reach the heights that he had with Detroit and what we expected him to have.
Facts, absolutely. We don't give Jordan enough credit for not giving Kemba the
max. That's a fact. That is a fact. There were a lot of people who questioned why Charlotte did not give him the max. Not only Jordan, I can't think of his name now, but he was the Mitch Kupchak, who was once the GM with the Lakers, who was with the Hornets at the time. They both had agreed that Kemba was not worth the max because they knew about the injury. And so, kudos to them. But in the same regard, they also signed Gordon Hayward, who hasn't been the same since he broke his leg. So, granted, they didn't give Gordon Hayward the max, but they've spent money. They've spent some money on guys who probably wasn't worth the money either.
Question: Let's go, Michael Jordan selling the Hornets and getting more money. Anytime you bring the bag in, we definitely support that. It was the sale. The sale was finalized. It was a almost unanimous vote. Guess who voted against it?
Who voted against it? It was 29-1. Yeah, who voted against it?
Your boy Eric.
Not Dolan.
Your boy James Dolan. He was the one.
We had gone about 3 good years without hearing about James Dolan being involved in anything, and this comes out. I want to say this though. When I heard about the sale, right? I haven't heard this rumor anywhere. So if it comes out later, remember where you heard it first, because this is just an independent thought, something I've been thinking about. The league is going to look to expand at some point. I think the league is going to look to expand. We know everybody wants a team back in Seattle, and I think Vegas is probably the next location, because we've seen Vegas already have a hockey team and a football team, and they see the success there. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Jordan selling the team is ultimately him looking forward to be a part of the expansion, to get in again, but with another team in a bigger market. Because no disrespect to Charlotte, but Seattle and Vegas are much bigger NBA markets. And I think Mike might come back on board with another group.
Well, listen, let me throw Drunk's question up there. I like this question. It's a good question.
It is.
Kemba Walker or Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics in their prime, who y'all got?
It's easy for me.
Isaiah Thomas was a problem in his prime, but I'm gonna go Kemba, because I think Kemba's prime was longer than Isaiah Thomas's. So I'm gonna take Kemba. But Isaiah Thomas wasn't no slouch. Like,
no.
During them last couple of years with the Boston Celtics, to be 5'9", 5'10", like he was really doing some incredible things. He was in the MVP conversation. But I'm gonna go Kemba on that one.
I gotta go Kemba. Isaiah got the most talent he could for a guy who was so undersized in the NBA. But Isaiah really only had like those 2 years with Boston. Like, we never talk about the fact that before Boston got him for dirt cheap because Sacramento didn't want him, and the other stops really, it just didn't work out. He had those 2 good seasons with Boston. Kemba Walker, as you mentioned, was an all-star, third-team All-NBA. Injuries kind of robbed him at that point, especially because he was still so young. Kemba, I think, was only 26 at the time when he made third-team All-NBA. Kemba was the better player. Isaiah got the most out of his his stature, but Kemba was the better player.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yo, Drunk, you out here wilding.
Drunk on the road. But drunk always shows us great support though.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Shout out to Drunk. I'm gonna just throw these two comments up real quick. Then I'm gonna get to you to your comment. Hoop ball scoop. Speaking of Michael, that air movie really showed me how much money Mike really getting. Facts. If y'all haven't already, great movie. Go check it out. I earned so much more. Well, I because I didn't even know Michael Jordan's mom, but I earned so much respect for Michael Jordan's mother, for really negotiating that deal, and the belief that she had in her son. Because obviously, I mean, no, I don't think any parent just is going to be, just really would say, yo, my kid is going to be the GOAT at whatever they do. Nobody says that. You know what I mean? Especially when you don't even play basketball. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that she was able to just come in there and she knew her son's worth and she went in there and said, no, this is what we want. We want that, we basically want a piece of the pie. And she got that deal signed, and it was something that had never been done before. Like, shout out to Mama Jordan. I thought that was so dope. But the movie as a whole is definitely dope. You guys should check it out if you haven't already.
Absolutely. It's a really good movie, well put together. It does not focus solely on Michael Jordan. It focuses on the business side with Nike, with his mom. But Sonny Vaccaro deserves a lot of credit within the basketball space because Sonny Vaccaro was one of the early visionaries in terms of what AAU basketball is now. Sonny Vaccaro kind of developed that model very early on. And for those that don't know, ESPN did the 30 for 30 on Sonny Vaccaro a few years ago. Sonny Vaccaro not only delivered Mike to Nike, he also delivered LeBron James to Nike because a lot of people forget that LeBron in high school was already aligned with Adidas. Adidas was their sponsor at St. Vincent St. Mary. And Sonny Vaccaro, through his negotiations, kind of knew what it was going to take to get Braun to Nike. We see how that's turned out. Nike has not only the lifetime deal with Mike, but they got it with Braun as well. So I hope Sonny Vaccaro has been getting some residuals off both those deals as well.
Yeah. Michael Mama was the original band. Facts. She was getting to it, Drunk. She was definitely getting to it.
We're gonna have to create a segment called Drunk Facts. Drunk is hitting us with some joints, man. We're gonna start calling them Drunk Facts from now on.
Word. Let me throw Hoop Ball Scoop comment up here. How much y'all think D Rose got left? Grant Hill, y'all don't remember, became a great defensive player. Yes, you're absolutely right. Became a great defensive player after the injury, so kind of made a little impact with the Suns guarding Kobe and LeBron. Absolutely. You gotta love Grant. As far as Derrick Rose goes, I don't know because I didn't. The Knicks weren't playing him this season, so I can't really make a good assessment right now of how he's gonna play or how much he has left in the tank after being another year older. Because he could come back this season and do what he was doing prior to when he was actually getting minutes for the Yankees. I think the last year was like 17 and 7, I think it was something like that.
For the Knicks. Yeah, he was a big part of the playoff team in 21.
Yeah. So he could possibly come back and do something similar, you know what I'm saying, and rock out for another couple of years. But again, I would need to actually see him on the court just because when you're talking about damn near taking a year off and you're a year older and you haven't been really playing and being in game shape, I just need to see it first. But I give him 2 years if I'm just throwing a number out there.
So I think he's in a great landing spot with Memphis. He'll get a lot of run early in the season until Ja comes back, and then he'll go to the bench and be the mentor role for Ja. So he's in a good landing spot. I definitely think 2 to 3 years, but it's going to be really limited minutes. Anything more than 20 minutes a night, you're kind of pushing it. He's towards the tail end of his career. The injuries have taken their toll as well. But I think D Rose is in a great spot where he can still contribute to a good team for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Let me throw up. Shout out to D'Nell Jackson, LeBron James, Laker career. Right, what he been there 5 years or so. He missed playoffs in 19, one bubble in 20, 21 early exit by Suns. 22 didn't make the playoffs, and 23 Western Conference Finals. To me, he don't deserve a statue, but jersey should be in the rafters. But media keep saying he should have a statue. I don't think his Lakers career been great. It's been good. Let me say this, and again, I just really quick 20 and 21. I mean, a couple of them years, the injuries just stopped him because in 2021, people if Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt when he does, you know, the Lakers were up in that series. They could possibly have gone on to at least get back to the finals if Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt because they was hot. But as far as his Lakers career goes and them giving him a statue, here's the thing, right? He has one championship with them, but I think when you add in the breaking the all-time scoring record in LA, if they chose to do that, I wouldn't be mad. Plus he's gonna play more and more accomplishments as long as he continues to play. So I think that just a combination of the ring and him actually passing Kareem's record as a Laker, if someone was actually talking about giving him a statue there, I think those things would be the reason. I don't think they do unless if the Lakers win another chip, then I could possibly see that because then I think it would kind of push the more of the narrative of the LeBron era in LA, right? Because obviously before this, before this was the losing era, but prior to that was the Kobe era. Prior to that was the Kobe and Shaq era. You know what I mean? And prior to that, you had the Showtime era. Prior to that, you had the Jerry West Lakers era. So there's different eras in Laker history. So I think if the Lakers added another ring, and maybe, as of right now, I don't think they do. But if they did do it, I think it is based off of the ring and him passing Kareem as a Laker.
So I don't think LeBron deserves a statue as a Laker. Again, and this is great, like breakdown here because he got one finals, he got one finals, he got one Western Conference Finals appearance. They got the early exit to the Suns, and then they missed the playoffs twice. So in his 5 years, they've missed twice, one championship, one deep playoff run, and another early exit. LeBron has been a little injured in LA. Yes, I get your point, Trip, that he broke the scoring record with a Laker jersey on. Maybe you commemorate that with a plaque or some sort of acknowledgement. But to put a statue in front of the building next to Shaq, Magic, Kareem, and eventually Kobe, I think would be disrespectful to what those guys did for the Laker organization and their time with the Laker organization in comparison to LeBron's time with the organization. In his 5 years, his resume isn't strong enough as a Laker to deserve a statue. If you want to put a plaque up and acknowledge that he became the all-time leading scorer in our jersey and also helped us win a championship, I'm okay with that. But if you're going to put a statue up, then the resume got to compare to the other guys I just mentioned because those guys, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, Magic, what they did as Lakers, that's historic stuff we're talking about. And I don't think what LeBron has done yet is historic enough to be mentioned with them or even deserve a statue next to them.
Yeah, that's why I said if he wins another ring, then maybe. But as of right now, I think if they did that, it would be solely based off of those two things, and that's probably not going to be enough to warrant a statue. Unless you're just giving him a statue just because it's LeBron James and based off of his overall, but you can't do that. You know what I mean? So and again, it's so yeah, no, I don't think so. But again, he still got some years left, so who knows what's going to happen with that team. If Braun gets Lakers statues officially means players mean more than teams. Yeah, that's what I said. Because right now you'd be giving us a statue based off of those two things. So yeah, then it really would be
It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not enough. And we're not even getting into, like I said, how we might feel about the bubble championship. But if we're giving him a statue based off of winning one championship and breaking a scoring record in your jersey, that's definitely not enough, bro. Because a majority of his accomplishments took place in Cleveland. So what are you acknowledging as the Lakers? What are you taking credit for?
Are you upset if Miami wants to give LeBron a statue?
I don't think he deserves a statue in Miami either. Again, I think you acknowledge the accomplishment, but he was there 4 years.
Yeah. And he did now in Miami, though, he did do a lot, though.
He had an amazing career in Miami. He won 2 NBA finals. He won 2 MVPs while he was there in Miami. Yeah. I believe he was.
They went to 4 straight finals.
They went to 4 straight. He was obviously first team All NBA all 4 years. the 2 years that he didn't win MVP, I think he was runner-up. So he had an amazing 4 years. And I've always said this, Trip. I think those, to me, in terms of like the best version of Braun, like that's where we really started seeing the best version of Braun, where he was literally the best player on both sides of the court. It started in Miami and it carried over into his first couple years back in Cleveland. But I still don't. 4 years, like if we're giving statues away for 4 years, bro,
is that the best 4-year run though in basketball? That's
no,
4 years.
no, that ain't the best 4-year run in all of basketball.
Who I don't know. I'm asking. Is that a good? Where would you rank those 4 years?
Didn't Mike win 3-peats 2 different times? That's not great. Like you telling me his. Come on, what are we talking about? Like
we got to go Mike on that one. But then again, we might have to say Bill Russell. He might have had a better 4-year run.
I mean, Bill Russell had like a 12-year run. Bill Russell had like a 12-year run. But I think he got it. I think he has a statue out there. They've acknowledged the statue. I think Braun was amazing in Miami. I just don't think you get a statue for 4 years worth of work.
No. You have to put in a little bit more work. But then again, like, so did he accomplish enough in Cleveland to get a statue?
Come on, yes, of course he did.
Because in comparison, right, he only got 1 championship in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he also he took them to 5 total, including his first stint.
Yeah, 5, took them to 5.
Yeah,
1-1. So he gets the statue in Cleveland.
Yeah, of course he gets it. I mean, 5 championships in Cleveland, 2 MVPs. I mean, damn near every year he was a first team All NBA. Aside from like his first 2 years in the league, he wasn't first team All NBA. Pretty much from that point on, he was first team All NBA. Obviously, they have the 3-1 comeback against Golden State. Braun, without a doubt, gets a statue. He saved Cleveland sports.
Cool.
Let me ask you a question, Trip. The reason that Braun, drunk is wilding out, but the reason Braun starts crying when they win the championship in Cleveland is because he knew, like, I've done something in Cleveland sports that hadn't been done in almost 50 years. The NFL team been trash. The baseball team blew 2 World Series appearances. It took Braun having to come back and do everything he can to win that championship for the city.
Yeah, no, facts. Yo, Drunk got me cracking up.
Those are not WNBA rings. Come on, Drunk. Don't disrespect the legend like that.
Let's go Russell, man. We can't.
We're not. And Drunk, we're not celebrating going over winning. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying in terms of who's the best player in Cleveland Cavalier history.
I mean, I think there's only one person in Cleveland history that would even come remotely close to getting a statue, and that's LeBron. Like, there's no one else in Cleveland history that would be deserving of a statue.
If you're getting a statue, is because you're one of the greatest players in franchise history. If you are the greatest player in franchise history, you're getting a statue.
Come on,
Drunk wilding right now.
Shout out to Imani Bates because he was balling.
He gonna get a little summer league statue. They're gonna give Imani Bates the same statue that the Commanders gave Sean Taylor, that mannequin statue.
Oh my goodness,
that was another Dan Snyder. That was another Dan Snyder work right there.
Let me see. Miami LeBron is one of the most. Yeah, facts.
I agree, but it was unfortunately, like I said, it was only a 4-year run. And hold on, if Braun is getting a statue, doesn't Dwayne Wade get a statue first?
Yeah, Wade would have to get a statue first.
All right. If Braun is getting a statue, does Alonzo Mourning get a statue? Because Alonzo Mourning might be the 2nd or 3rd best player in team history.
Question: what if they did a group statue, right? Where it was the dunk, when Wade threw up the alley and
Jason,
what if that's
so the Wade one like this in Milwaukee, or the one on Jason Terry? Because I like the one on Jason Terry more.
One on Jason Terry, where he threw the alley up. He threw it up. Okay. All right, what if that's the statue? Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
All right, bet. Let's.
If anybody getting a statue in Miami, it got to be Pat Riley.
Well, I mean, that's different. Pat need to get a statue though, but that that's a whole other topic though. But let me we gotta talk a little bit about. Let me just throw Drunk's last comment up here.
Nah. Alonzo Mourning was really, really good for Miami, and Alonzo Mourning might have put the Miami Heat on the map. When Alonzo Mourning went there, think about where that franchise was when Alonzo Mourning went there.
Him and Smart together, that crossover. Facts. Let me just say this first of all. Shout out to you guys again. If you are not already, make sure y'all subscribe to that channel, man. Also click that like button. If y'all, when y'all in the comments, do that for us. Click that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe. Follow us on all our social media, facebook.com/real fans real talk, Twitter, Instagram @real fan talk, youtube.com/ for the fans productions. And of course, if you're not in the New York City area and you can't watch us on TV, Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. on Verizon 43. Don't worry, hit up the website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click that red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And also make sure that you guys are subscribed to both the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, streaming on all major platforms. We got a couple of more surprises coming up for you guys this summer. Big boxing fight going down though this weekend. I'm so ready for this fight. You brought it up at the top of the show, Eric. Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford. It is going down. Um, might be the fight of the decade. I don't know, man. This fight is going to be one for the ages. I am so ready for this fight. I said before, I'm going Errol Spence Jr. I'm not changing my pick on that one, but I think we are in for one of the better fights that we've seen over the past 5 years, though.
I agree, and I started the show by saying that it's the most anticipated fight I think since Canelo and Triple G Part One, which was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It's probably the best fight of the decade. I think that it's the first of at least two fights. We're gonna see at least two between them, maybe even a trilogy. But I got Errol Spence Jr., man. I think the resume is super strong, and I love Bud Crawford. But when you're talking about the bigger fighter, you're talking about Errol Spence. When you're talking about the more punishing fighter, you're talking about Errol Spence. When you're talking about the better resume, you're talking about Errol Spence. As I talked about before on the show, he beat Kell Brook when Kell Brook was the boogeyman of the welterweight division, and he went to London to fight him and beat him over there when he broke his eye socket. When he beat up on Mikey Garcia, when Mikey Garcia was undefeated, and a lot of people thought Mikey Garcia was the most skilled guy at 140, and he beat him. He's the only guy to me that has convincingly beat Danny Garcia, who Danny Garcia was a big time knockout artist at 147. He dominated Sean Porter when he fought Sean Porter. He beat up on Ugas after Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence Jr. is the truth. Errol Spence Jr. is, to me, he's probably too big to be fighting at welterweight, but until he captures this belt, he's not going to leave this division. And I think that it will be a great fight. But I do think that in the second half of the fight, the power and the size pause of Errol Spence will just be a little bit too much.
Have you had a chance to check out the 24/7?
I've watched the first two.
Yeah. I ain't gonna hold you, man. That watching that, like, I'm just ready for this fight already, man. Because one thing I will say about both of these guys, training is top notch, A1. The punishment that these guys are willing to put their bodies through before they even get into the ring, it's crazy. Like, I'm so excited for this fight. Like, I think this fight is going to do a lot, for the sport of boxing as a whole. And I'm so ready to watch this fight. It's going down Saturday night. Yeah, man, we watching this one. This is one. It's like you might have to pay the.
No, yeah. We not cheaping out. We're not doing those sites this time. We putting up the money. Yeah. We talked about this before, Trip. Certain fights, like when Tank and Ryan fought, that's one of them you got to pay for. You got to just pay for, make sure the stream is good. But I will be in the city, so we're gonna be together for this. We may even have to go live before the fight just to get the interaction with everyone. But I think it's gonna be an amazing fight. Shout out to Drunk. The reason I think we're gonna see at least two fights is because I think the fight is gonna be close. Yeah. I don't expect. I wouldn't be surprised if Bud Crawford won the fight. I think Spence will win the fight. I am rooting for Spence, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bud won the fight. But ultimately, I think it is a very close fight, and whoever wins, it's going to be a close enough fight that we are, as a fans of the sport, as the public, are going to demand a second fight.
Yeah, facts. It's definitely going to be one of them ones. And again, I think it's going to be a very close fight. But I just think that Errol Spence is just going to show that he's that much better than Terrence Crawford. And again, no disrespect to Terrence Crawford because he is one of the top fighters in boxing. But at some point, when you got two of the top fighters in boxing, and only one of them can win this thing. And I just think that winner is going to be Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah, I think the second half of the fight is going to be key. I think early on in the fight, early on, I could see Bud having his moments, but I think as we get into the second half of the fight, and then you start to see the difference in size and power, that's where Spence will start to break him down. And I think Spence has kind of already said that as well, that he plans on punishing him. So Spence isn't going in there looking to knock him out or even knock him down in the first 3 to 4 rounds. He's looking to lay the groundwork and the foundation so that when we get to round 7, 8, 9, 10, those body blows, the punishing hits, the counters, all those things start to take a toll. And that's where he really plans on breaking him down at.
Facts. But it's going down this Saturday, so make sure y'all watching, because we definitely gonna be talking about that when we get back next week. So make sure that's the homework for the week. We got the Troy doc. We're gonna be checking out the TBT tournament this week, and we're gonna be recapping that Errol Spence Jr. Terrence Crawford fight. That's all the homework for next week. So make sure y'all prepared with them questions next week, because it's definitely going down. It's a big week for us. We watching all of that. Big shout out to the family, Bruce Carrington, Shoo, the undefeated Bruce Carrington. He'll be back in the ring on August 26th. He just announced that. I think 2 days ago now. He just announced it. But big shout out to the family. You know we got to support that, man. So shout out to Shoo. We're looking for another win, man. Let's keep this thing going.
Shout out to the future champ. You know what I'm saying? He back in the ring soon. We know he's gonna win. And shout out to Drunk. See, Drunk's next comment. That's what I was just saying. I think Bud wins the early rounds, and then I think the big fish does kind of start applying pressure in those middle rounds, round 5, round 6, and then really start to assert himself in the later rounds and win that fight.
Yeah, there it is, man. Errol Spence Jr. With that being said, though, Eric, let's jump into the final thoughts segment on the show. You want to start it off?
Of course, man. As always, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you to the supporters. Thank you for all the questions and comments. They were great. You guys were great tonight, man. We look forward every week to interacting with you guys and giving you guys the best show possible. So we really appreciate it when you guys enjoy to interact and send us questions and comments as well, man. But yeah, shout out to everybody, and we look forward to seeing you guys. We may go live. We'll talk about it off air. We may go live next week before the fight, and we're gonna put something together. We got to get into the Women of Troy documentary, and we got to get some women ball players on the show as well, so that we can kind of have that back and forth with them.
Yeah, you know what I just realized for next week. What I'm gonna do is during the week, I'm gonna put up exactly when we're going to record next week, because we do have Bowling for Peace on Sunday.
Correct.
And that's from 2 to 6 out here in the Bronx. So we will let you guys know during the week whether we're going to do a late night on Sunday, or if we're going to record early on Sunday or whatever. We'll let you guys know during the week just what we're going to do. Excuse me, just so you guys will be kept in the loop with next week's show. But we will be at Bowling for Peace this Sunday. Again, if you are in the New York City area, come out and support. This is one of my favorite events, the Bowling for Peace softball game. It's NYPD versus the Bowling for Peace All-Stars. And, shout out to H2O. He's bringing the community together, trying to have the community interact with the police officers that are working in our neighborhoods. And you gotta love and respect that. So if you are in the New York City area on Saturday, pull up, man. We're gonna be out there. Myself, Eric, H2O is gonna be out there. Plus, a couple of your favorite celebrities are gonna be out there playing in the game too. So again, pull up if you're in the New York City area. July 30th, Bowling for Peace softball game, NYPD versus the Bowling for Peace All Stars.
Yeah, and definitely tap in, as you mentioned, Trip, on social media with us, because we don't have the official list. Well, we don't want to spoil the list, I should say, because we know there are going to be some celebrities there. We don't want to put anything out there until everything is confirmed. But we're probably going to go live from Bowling for Peace as well. So tap in with us. That way, if you guys have any questions, we love the interaction. We will ask any of the celebrities that are there the questions that you guys present as well. So tune in with us, and we'll keep you guys posted what time we'll be going live from Bowling for Peace.
Shout out to Drunk, man. We're gonna end it off with that comment right there. Appreciate you, my brother. Y'all fire, bro. Y'all cover a lot of topics other sports podcasts don't cover. Yes, we do cover all sports. If it's hot, if it's going down in the sports world, at some point we're gonna get to it. So y'all keep rocking with us, man, because we're gonna keep putting this content out And we're gonna continue to bring our friends through during the summer. So y'all be on the lookout for that as well. With that being said, man, I'm just gonna say love, man. My final thought is love, man. That's all we need right now. So for myself, Trip Young, my co-host Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.
Peace.